we are seeing right now very, very good when it comes to the sales to asking ratio. Around 100% is really, really good. Also, we're seeing the price is giving a nice bit of relief to people. The average right now has gone from 980 up to 1,050,000. That extra 70,000 is really helping people out. Thank you very much for coming by. We really appreciate it. What we're going to be talking about today is individual types of properties in different cities across Canada, United States. We want to be digging in a little bit into those different types of things so that we could figure out, should we be making deals or should we not? So if we jump over to the screen, we're going to get a little bit more precise with it. When we're going to be looking at different properties, we can actually figure out some really good pieces of information when we're jumping into this. So we're just going to look at, these are postal codes within the Toronto area, for example. So if we just pick up one, it doesn't really matter which one it is. We can pick it up just completely by random and take a look at what is going on with the prices. So it's interesting to know here. Do you notice I'm going to put it back at the last 2 years? This is a good time for us to take a look at 2 years. If we look at the numbers over 2 years, it'll give us the total decline. And that's what we're interested in, is the total decline. Median prices is what I use instead of using average prices. But you'll notice here at $750,000 is where it had peaked before, and prices kept on getting crushed overall. But we're seeing this massive boom since the new year. So what is all that about? Because we know that 50% of the homes in Canada actually always sell in the spring. So if this is the case and they always sell in the spring, what happened to this spring, you guys? Do you think that it was because there was a huge war, a hot war in Europe that broke out? Well, I think so. So that hot war. But then why is this spring going to be any different? And the reason is very, very simply, if we look at just our conventional mortgage lending rates, they have been going straight down. So if the mortgage rates are continuing straight down, what happens to the home prices? Home prices go up as well. If you look at the bond rate, which is what all the mortgage rates are based off of, every time that the mortgage rate is low, or the bond rate, remember the two are reflected, this is where you want to be selling a house. When you get to the top end up here, this is when the bond rate is highest. This is when the mortgage rate is highest. This is an example of when you'd like to be buying a home, because the home prices will be cheaper. So you want to be buying down at this low end. So it has made a recovery this year so far, but we're still seeing where home prices have gone from 650 to 725 in this one particular postal code. So if you guys have any questions, please leave any questions for me and I'll happy to look at them. Any postal codes that you want to give me, I'd love to hear from it. So right here, look at that, $75,000 is what one person made. Every single seller is making that. And look at this. Over the past 2 years, all of this loss, we're only reflecting a 0.5% loss, which is incredible. Now, if you go back 5 years, what you're going to notice, now we're just pulling up one postal code by complete randomness. But if we look at it in the past 5 years, we then see that there was a big low, obviously, when everything happened in 2020. And look at it, it looks kind of rocky, right? But if you back it up and you back it up more and more, it actually smooths out all of those edges, and we can see a longer term trend that is going on through there. So that is very, very comfortable for a lot of people. All right, so let's get into some more of the nuances. And I'm going to tell you that this is a secret. All cities over 1 million people are generally behaving in the same way. Large cities are the ones that are the most over indebted. They have the most leverage. So when they're the most indebted and the most leverage on top of it, now they are more susceptible to the interest rates. I'm meaning the people out on the farms, they more often own their properties, right? So if they own their properties, they don't care about mortgage rates. It doesn't really matter to them. But this is the prices in certain areas. So if you're in Toronto and you want to give me your postal code, your first 3 digits of your postal code, then I'll look up your actual property live. So this one right here, M5V, we can see it's up 29%, but that's over 6 years. So if you guys want to give me a postal code, I'd be happy to do it for you. Thank you very much for coming on today. So let's take a look. I'm just looking at M5V, but this is where we can look into some more specific types of questions. Imagine, look at this, 1,379 different condos sold in one area. But when you look at condos, they are generally 1 bedroom and 2 bedroom. Look at that. All of a sudden, they're up 30%. Now, let's go back to what we were looking at before, the 2 years, this will show you the peak to the trough. Notice in 2 years, all of a sudden, condos have barely gone down at all, from 775 to 726. Down nothing, you guys. That's incredible. Okay, so let's take away this because everyone asks, this is the real estate market. What I want to know for you guys, is it just the market? And the answer is absolutely not. Never. So let's pick up a random place in the suburbs. Okay, so this is going to be the inner suburbs. We're talking about 30 minutes outside of a main city. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing a different picture, right? 16% overall in the past 2 years. But let's be more specific. Let's look at the larger, more expensive detached properties. And those are typically the homes that are there. Now look at the homes, 19% down overall. You can see the price here is 1.5 all the way down to 1.2. Now the difference here is, again, it's going to be the more indebted you are, the more it's going to cost you over time. So the average price is normally a little bit more because it'll include, yeah, look at that, 27% difference in prices. And this is because there's some very, very expensive homes that are in the area that when we put in the median, it'll kind of take that away. But one thing that is sure is overall in Toronto, we're seeing massive price increases. So do you notice here, this is Toronto, all homes together, 13% down. And so, but we've seen this big bump in the new year, and that is all because of the mortgage rates that are going down, down, down. And in addition, if you look at the bond rate, which is where we get the mortgage rates from, we can see this big thing that dropped off at the beginning of April. And this was all because those banks like Silicon Valley went under. So when Silicon Valley Bank went under, you just made a lot more money on your property. So this is why we always have to be paying attention to this type of stuff, because it's going to mean a lot to you. Also, if we're going to look in Toronto overall, we're going to look right here and we're going to see that the average days on market to sell a property has gotten a lot better. And this is coming to spring market again, in addition to having much lower interest rates. Notice 30 days on market, and now it's already down to 20 days on market, which is incredible, right? This is what we want to see. Now, again, it was nothing like it was back at the beginning of 2022, where it was absolutely crazy 8 days on market, but this is a marked improvement. We're really happy to see that. Also, when you're going to be pricing your homes anywhere, notice what has been happening with the price. Obviously, last year was bananas. People were willing to pay 120% of what things were worth. But we did see a whole period through last summer, last fall, and the winter time where people were still expecting to get the property for under market value. And so if you listed the property for $1 million, when it says 98% there, it means that people were expecting to have $980,000. Like get 20 grand off if you listed it for $1 million. But what we're seeing today, if you notice the numbers are over 100%, all of a sudden that rate now is very, very different. Now they're expecting to pay a bit over. And we can tell you that from being on the ground, we're seeing a lot of people who are going to look at properties. There's a lineup down the street. There's 50 people trying to get in. Now it's back to competition bidding on these offers again. And it seems that it's all like 2022, that people are not paying attention to what is actually happening in the market. So let's show you as well. One of the biggest questions that I'm getting today is what on earth? What on earth is happening with the interest rates? Because every time that anybody talks to me, they're telling me right away that the rates are very, very, very different. All right, so let's try to pull this up for you guys. If we're looking at this and just say like right here, this is your interest rate, okay? And your interest rate is at 5.5%. That's what you're paying at the mortgage place. Are you paying 5.5? You're actually not. And here, let me explain. Number one, you have this section right here that might be 4.5. Now, that is the Bank of Canada, or this could be the US Federal Reserve, something like that, okay? Now, do you get a rate of 4.5? The answer is no, you don't. No, you don't. What you do get is that 5.5, and this right there, that section is the commission. Now, who gets that commission? That's going to be Bank of Montreal, TD. It doesn't matter if it's Bank of America. It's going to be someone else. So you actually are paying out of your 5.5% mortgage, you're paying two portions. And so you have to be asking yourself which one is going up or down, because it could be that the Bank of Canada's commission, their 4.5% is going up or down, but the commission up top is changing. So since Silicon Valley Bank has gone down, imagine before it may have been 1%, but what happens now if they're willing to take 0.5%? If they're willing to take a smaller commission, all of a sudden now, you now no longer pay 5.5%. Now you only have to pay 5%. And so you might see on the exact same day the fact that local bank rates, mortgage rates are going down because their commission is going down, or you might see that the actual Bank of Canada, Bank of America, whatever the bank is, the central bank is pausing the rates. So you might see one article that says pausing rates, one article that says rates are falling. And it leaves a lot of people scratching their heads going, what on earth is happening? How can these two contradict? And most people don't understand that there's actually two rates that are built into one. So that's what I would suggest you guys just to know that, so that we could figure that out in the future. I want you guys to be able to be armed with some better information. All right, so let's go back. All in all, we are seeing right now very, very good when it comes to the sales to asking ratio. Around 100% is really, really good. We're happy by that. Also, we're seeing the days on market become better, which we're also happy about. And price is giving a nice bit of relief to people. It's giving a nice bit of relief to people right now because it's at 13% down, which is a lot better than where it was. So the average right now has gone from 980 up to 1,050,000. So that extra 70,000 is really helping people out. We're really, really happy about that. So if you guys want any private messages to me because you want me to look up something specific, I'm happy to do so. You can also go to our website at sellhigher.ca. We'd be happy to help you there. Wish you the very, very best. I hope that I cleared up some stuff, and keep your eyes sharp, man. The next 2 years is going to dictate the next 20 years of your life.